Hello friends, and welcome to CJoy Yoga. We're going to be looking at the upper back and how that affects the position of the neck. Any of my friends who have shoulder, upper back, neck pain, this may be a very helpful class, not only in relieving and opening the area, but also in you understanding why you might have postural patterns or things that keep causing that, right? We're going to start in Virasana if it's available. I happen to have a carpet, but in case you don't, a blanket underneath your knees is super sweet here, so you have a little padding. I have a block between my legs, right, and I have it the long way. I have mine on medium, but you can do, pardon me, you can do low, medium, or you can have two blocks on top of each other in this fashion to give you the higher height. And if that's not available, just sit with your legs crossed in Sukhasana, which is the regular cross-legged pose that we often start class in. You can also start on a chair if you want to start in a chair, right? Meaning, find a place where you can find the middle of your buttocks bones. That's one of the beautiful things to me about this pose, right? When we are in Virasana, our pelvis has an easier time finding neutral, for most of us anyway. And then from there, if your knees are in pain, get out. You want to make sure your knees are moving in towards each other. They are not wide for this pose. They are at least hip distance, and maybe the thighs are touching. And all the usual suspects other than that. Find the middle of the buttocks bones, let them root down, and as they root down, can the rest of the spine grow up nice and tall out of that? Go ahead and palms up or palms down on your thighs. Either way, close the eyes and start to tune in. As you scan through the body, making sure you're releasing any muscular tension that might be holding on there, or I could say that is unnecessary. And I'm a pretty rigid, really aggressive mover. I'm getting better at it, but one thing that I also check into is making sure that the muscles that are holding me up, that they're not over tense, right? Otherwise I'm expending energy that's unnecessary. So I like to take those rigid muscles, meaning moving them aggressively, and make sure that they're soft, still holding me up, but there's a softness to them. Bring your awareness into your breath, and let's just take a couple of breaths here before we open our eyes. Since we're going to be in the upper back, I'm going to invite you to try to expand the back side of the lungs. What does that mean? The area between the shoulder blades. When you inhale, can you expand that? Don't make it really effortful. I'm not moving my back. Exhale and soften. I'm allowing that area to expand with the lungs. Inhale into the back body, upper back. Exhale. Now we're going to bring it down to the kidney band, the lower part of the rib cage. Inhale, right behind the kidneys. And exhale. And we'll take one more breath right there, just like that, into the kidney band. Inhale, right behind the kidneys. Try to expand that area. I know your lungs aren't there. Get over it. I love you. Get over it. Exhale and soften. And then from there, open the eyes. We're going to start with Baddha Bhujangasana arms. I just like saying that. Go ahead and interlace your hands and push your palms forward. I'm going to turn sideways so you can see a little something in my profile, right? Often when we do this pose, we push the shoulders forward out of socket. So if I pull my shoulders back in a little bit, if I pull my upper back forward just a little bit, right, the rest of my spine on top of that starts to get a little bit longer, and the crown of my head reaches up. From there, go ahead and reach those arms up. Don't let the elbows bend. Don't let the upper trapezius, or the inner shoulders I sometimes call them, don't let them lift. Keep them softening down. And only go as high as you can with your shoulder girdle where those two things are still true, right? So it's not going to do a lot of good to be up here if your elbows are bent and your upper trapezius are grabbing on. We're not training the shoulders into a new pattern that's healthier for our shoulders and upper back. Take one more breath, inhale. And exhale, bring the hands down, turn the palms towards you, change the interlace, other index thumb finger, and everything switches thereafter. Push the palms forward. And again, as you lengthen those arms out in front of you, shoulders in the socket, shoulder blades down the back. Now one more piece, don't go up yet. If you're up, come back down, right? Straight arms. Don't let the head drop down. And then I'm going to add to it, don't let those ribs flare out, right? So keep that long spine and especially in that mid-body, the kidney band area. And as a matter of fact, once you get up to your top edge, right, where all of those things are true, inner shoulder soft, the head's not bobbing forward, etc., I want you to inhale and try to expand your kidney band back behind you. And exhale, soften. One more time, inhale into your kidney band and inhale back towards the wall behind you. You don't have to move it, you're just inhaling into it. Exhale, bring those arms back down and release the arms down for a moment, palms up or down, and just notice what you're feeling in your upper back, shoulders. I mean, I feel it in my arms, my neck, right? All this stuff is starting to come to life. So we're starting to open up these channels of energy. If you can stay this way, you're going to stay this way. We have one more move. If this is not comfortable, go to interlace of the sitting cross-legged, and if you were sitting cross-legged, now's the time to switch that cross-legged, right? Put the other shin in front. So one more piece from here. You're going to interlace your hands and push your palms forward. Bring those arms all the way up, and then we're going to keep the palms up towards the ceiling, but we're going to bring our hands down onto the top of our head. And we're going to use that as leverage, right? So soften your shoulders away from your ears, and then can the crown of your head gently reach up into the hands. Sometimes when we have something with weight on top of the head, right, it gives it something to push up into, and we find a little more length. So again, shoulders soften down, crown of the head reaches up. Take an inhale here, and I'm going to mirror you. On an exhale, you're going to start to turn towards the right without manipulating the spine forward or back at all, right? We're turning on the axis of the spine. We're not using our arms, so it's not going to be the biggest twist we've ever done. Push the crown of the head up as the buttocks bones reach down, right? Inhale into the back kidney band area. And then exhale, maybe you can go a little deeper now that you've been there. We're going to do one more breath. Again, inhale into the back kidneys, particularly the right one, left one for you, sorry. And exhale, maybe you come a little deeper in. Turn the body forward. We got one more twist, and then we get to release these arms. Go ahead and take an inhale for height. Push up into the hands. Exhale, turning towards the left. Don't go too far yet, right? And then inhale, pushing crown of the head up, buttocks bones rooting down. And exhale, maybe a little deeper. And then we have another breath. So inhale into the kidney band, particularly the right kidney. And exhale, let that right kidney lead you a little deeper without being forceful with the body. Turn back to the center, release the arms down. Take one more breath here before we get out of this knee situation, right? Hi, Hunter. Hunter wanted to say hello. And from there, if your blanket is already set up on the mat, you can either just turn it or just leave it where it is, depending on where you have it, and use that as a little bit of cushion underneath your knees for a couple of hand knees, right? So from there, cat-cow, shoulder blades down the back, reach the chest forward, and exhale, pull the belly up, rounding up to the sky, release the neck, release the shoulder blades to the side of the body. Inhale, shoulder blades move back in a little bit, but more than that, they move towards the buttocks to help the chest reach forward. And exhale, pull the belly up, rounding up to the sky. One more just like that. Inhale, explore that upper back. And exhale, and the neck for that matter. Can you even soften the neck? I can't tell you how many people can't soften their neck when they're in a forward fold. Inhale, come on back to neutral. Curl the right toes under and go ahead and pulse a little forward and straighten the right leg behind you. Pulse a little forward and a little bit back, just so you start to open up the back of that knee, especially if you were in hero's pose. And bring that down. Curl the left toes under. Pulse a little forward and a little bit back to open up the back of that left leg a little bit. And bring that knee down. We're going to move towards a downward dog. We're going to go slowly because that's what I do, right? So go slowly with me, if you will. Walk your hands about 2 inches in front of the shoulders. All of this little stuff makes the world of difference in the stabilizers being able to turn on for proper alignment, right? Now from there, go ahead and slide your shoulder blades towards your buttocks a little more. And if I pull that upper back in just a little bit, or I could say to the floor, but I'm not just dropping it down, right? My chest reaches forward. Then the crown of my head, it's going to reach up into imaginary hands that are pushing down into it right now, right? Now curl your toes under. Go ahead and start to take that beautiful upper back and neck as it is back into your downward facing dog. Now we haven't done much in the legs, so if you want to pedal the legs out, take a couple of moments straightening one knee and bending the other. But while you're doing that, Can you keep the upper back in? Can you keep the shoulder girdle sturdy, right? I don't want to say strong because you're not muscling, but yeah, you do have to use some muscle to stabilize, right? Take one more breath and one more pedal if you're working on that pedaling action. Bend both knees, push into the hands forward and down, reach the buttocks bones up and back, and then let those heels move down a little bit. Doesn't have to be far or much at all, just wherever you feel your length of the spine and the legs opening. Now we're going to walk our hands back to our feet. We'll end up at the back of the mat. Grab onto your elbows, bend your knees, and try to lay your body down as if your ribs could lie down on your thighs. Outer ribs, inner thighs. Soften your neck, and again, notice if you're someone who has a really hard time doing that. That's a wealth of information for you on why you might have neck and shoulder issues, right? And can we start to train that neck to soften more often? Put your other forearm in front and soften that neck. It might help to just shake it really gently, lighten, no, yes and no, lighten, no, yes and no, and soften. Hands on the shins, reach the chest forward, halfway up. Lightly tone the belly up, hands on the hips, elbows up, come on up. And go ahead and come on forward to the top of the mat. You can leave the blanket there. And we're going to bring the knee down for a lunge. Standing up at the top of the mat. Go ahead and inhale, reach those arms out and up. Except I went against the line that I want to do. Reach them back out and down. I apologize. Rather than refilming, we're just going to do it this way. Shh, don't tell anyone. Inhale, reach the arms forward and up. This is the line that we've been working, right? Inner shoulders softening down, straight arms. Exhale, arms out to the side to fold in. And inhale, reach the chest forward, lengthen. Bend your knees. You can use blocks to the ground, hands on the ground or the blocks. Left leg goes back, left knee comes down, and uncurl the toes. Pardon me. Inhale, reach the arms, slide the shoulder blades down the back and find your spine first, right? And then inhale, reach the arms forward and bring it up for a little extra core work. Pull the frontal hip points up, buttocks flesh down, find that length. And then once you got the pelvis, right, again, come back to the upper back. You're going to interlace your hands behind your head, right? And right there at the base of the occiput, move the elbows in. Keep the front ribs in, my sway back friends, but reach the elbows up, 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 up. And my hands, it's almost like they're pulling my skull lightly up and off my cervical, my neck spine there, yeah? And go ahead and take one more breath, pulling the upper back in, shoulder blades towards the buttocks. Now try to keep the upper back and the neck. Inhale, reach the arms up. This should not be painful in the neck, right? If it is, you can come out of it a little bit, but otherwise we're just getting the neck extension because the upper back is finally turning on. Exhale, bring the hands down and step back to downward facing dog. One more breath in stillness. Inhale and exhale. Inhale the left leg up into the air behind you, and you're going to swing it forward. That said, you know you can bring your knees down, and step the left foot forward from there. They're both on the table. On blocks or on the ground, find that long, long spine in your low lunge. Inhale, reach the arms forward and bring it up. And take a moment to find the pelvis. Frontal hip points up, buttocks flesh down. Now other index finger on top, behind the neck. Elbows move in, keep the low belly pulling up, keep the front ribs softening back, right? And then reach the elbows up, up, up. Now upper back, shoulder blades down the back, reach the chest forward and up, and that head lays in the hand of the hammock, right? Now don't make the neck rigid. Hopefully it feels like it just has extension without you being rigid as you reach the arms up. Inhale, exhale, bring the hands down, curl the toes under, step forward to the top of the mat. Inhale, reach that chest forward. Exhale and fold. Hands on the hips today. Elbows up, shoulders up. Inhale, come all the way up. And exhale, reach those hands down. And then just pause there for a moment and just notice what's happening in the upper back. If you're collapsing forward, again, can you pull the upper back in just a little bit, right? And what does that do to the relationship of the neck? And if you don't know for sure, let yourself, and I'll do it with you, right? Let yourself go into that dowager's hump, that little bit of rounding that we often do when we're texting and driving and all of the stuff that we do, reading, cooking, you name it, right? Now from there, instead of just whooping my head back when I realize my head is down, what happens if I move from between my shoulder blades and I start to move that part of my spine in, right? Naturally, my neck starts to get longer and I start to find the extension of my neck, my cervical spine, right? Now, the one thing to be careful about is some of us, we end up taking the bottom part of that C curve and we shove it in and our front ribs blast out, right? And that's how we try to find the compensation. But that's not elongation, right? So think of getting long so that that whole C of your thoracic spine starts to open up and lengthen, right? We're not trying to get rid of it completely, we're just trying to lengthen it. Now from there, standing at the top of the mat if you moved, inhale, reach those arms forward and up, try to keep the alignment of the upper back and the neck, it's already there, right? Exhale and folding in. Inhale, reach that chest forward. Bend your knees, plant your hands. Your right leg is going to go back. You can leave the leg lifted this time or bring the knee down. Find your long spine. Inhale, reach the arms up. And from there, you stay in the lunge. Find your frontal hip points, back knee can bend. I'm coming up so you can see what I'm doing in my upper body, right? Now I'm going to move my shoulder blades down my back and see if I can't help that chest reach forward and up. Let me show you my shoulders a little better here, right? And as I find that upper back and my chest starts to open up and my neck starts to find the alignment, I'm then going to see if I can bring my palms towards one another, not by bending my elbows, right? I keep my arms super duper long until my palms maybe touch, maybe they don't. If you get your palms, now reach your fingertips further up to the sky. Does that help the upper back pull in? The chest start to lift, the neck extends, the chin is lifting because the upper back is moving in. Exhale, bring the hands down, step back to downward facing dog. Now at this point in time, if you know you're not using your blanket for a lunge, you can go ahead and you can put that off to the side. Take one more breath there in stillness. And then we're going to move. Inhale, reach the right leg up. Exhale, step it forward or bring the knees down to step it forward. And you can bring the knee down, but you can leave it lifted as well this time. Find your long spine before you come up, right? That's spinal alignment, and that's your core work. Bring it up, arms forward and up, back knee can bend. And again, you're keeping the lunge. I'm coming out of it so I can show you a little better what I mean in the upper back and the upper body, right? So from the back side view this time, my arms are up. I'm going to try to move my shoulder blades down and lift my chest forward and up from this place right between my shoulder blades. My neck extends up out of that. The crown of the head is lifting up into that imaginary hand situation on my head. Now maybe my palms come together to touch, and if they do, right, I'll show you from the side now. I'm going to reach my fingertips up to see if I can't get that upper back to move in even more. Extension of the neck, crown of the head up and back. Keep the ribs in. Exhale, bring the hands down and step forward to the top of your mat. Inhale, chest forward. Exhale and fold. Hands on the hips, elbows up, shoulders up. Inhale, come all the way up, 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 up. Okay, let's go in a couple of standing poses and see if we can't get a little bit of shoulder stretching and neck relief, right? So neck stretching as well. So you're going to go ahead and you're going to step your feet out nice and wide. You'll turn long way on your mat. You're going to interlace your hands behind your back, right? And when I do that, I'm going to start with a little bend, just so that I can let my shoulder, just so I can let my shoulders move back a little bit. Shoulder blades down the back, and I find all that freedom around my neck, right? Now my knuckles might reach down. They might not. From this place, you're going to go ahead and you're going to take your knuckles over towards your right hip and try to wrap them around. This right elbow is going to want to go wide. You're going to go ahead and pull it back in a little bit. That doesn't have to be extreme, right? But what I'm going to also do is I'm going to use my right hand and try to pull my left knuckles over a little bit to open my left shoulder back. Don't kill yourself. If it's in a forward roll and you're just yanking on it, not so good, right? So you might not go too far in. Go ahead and turn your left foot in. Turn the whole right leg out. We're going towards warrior two legs, just so you know. Take an inhale. Before you go in, can you get that left shoulder to move back a little bit so your chest is neutral to the front edge, and then bend the knee to come into your warrior two legs, right? All the usual stuff with the pelvis and the feet and the whatnot. I'm not taking away from that, but today's not that class, right? So now let's go to the upper body a little bit. Again, did your shoulder roll forward? Can your left rib cage and shoulder roll back so your chest is neutral? Now you're going to take the right hand and you're going to see if you can't help that hand come down onto that thigh. If that does not work, you can just have the hand against the hip in the back, yeah? Go ahead and put your right elbow on your right knee. See if you can lift that left shoulder a little higher by pulling against the thigh or pushing into the hip. And then from there, we're going to turn the head to look down, right? And we're going to let the chin move slightly in towards the chest, shoulders away from ears. And hopefully you're feeling a stretch in that left. It might be the neck, it might be a little in the upper back. Mine is going even down on the inner edge of my shoulder blade. Go ahead and take another breath, inhale, and exhale. Now release that arm out, the left arm, and go ahead and turn the palm down, reach it forward to me, the same arm line we've been working, and go ahead and lengthen that over. You can keep the head turning down, or you can turn the head forward, or you can even turn the head to look up past that bicep, and just notice how different that is in the neck, yeah? To come up, we're gonna let that arm swing down and up into warrior two. Hands on hips, and turn the toes back towards camera, or the long edge of your mat, I should say. Interlace other index finger, little bend in the elbows, shoulders back, shoulder blades down the back, maybe knuckles reach down. Turning the legs out. Our right foot comes in or the heel back, turn the whole left leg out. Swing the knuckles, swing them, that's pretty extreme. Move the knuckles around to the left hip-ish, whatever that is for you in your body. Left elbow moving in a little bit, right? And I can even pull that right hand slightly to help the right rib cage and shoulder roll back. I don't want to be past neutral. I want to be in neutral, right? Now bend that left knee over second toe, rooting through heels, pulling pelvic floor up, all the usual suspects, right? But can your chest stay turned towards the front? And if not, you might not bend so deep, right? Or maybe even working from straight is better for you. From there, you're going to use that left hand and help that right hand try to come onto that upper thigh. And you're going to bring that left elbow down to that left leg. Slide the shoulders away from the ears, and I can pull against my thigh if I was able to grab my thigh, or push into my hip to try to reach my right shoulder up just a little bit, right? A little rib rotation. Be careful of swing, expanded front ribs out, right? And then from there, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to turn my head and look down, and I'm going to let my chin move slightly in towards my chest, trying to access the strappy muscles on the back side of the right side of the neck. And take another breath there, inhale, and exhale. Don't drop the head, but let it have a little weight, yeah? Now I'm gonna reach my right arm back to my side, fingertips down, palm down. And then I'm gonna swing it forward towards camera and reach it overhead, just like we've been doing all of class thus far. Maybe I leave my head where it is. Maybe I turn my face forward. Maybe I turn my face and look up towards my right bicep. Shoulder away from here on that right shoulder. And then from there, you're going to go ahead and you're going to bring it down in front of you to bring it up to warrior two. And straighten the legs, hands on the hips, toes straight forward. We're going to go right into another standing pose, right? We're going to do two in a row actually, and then we'll come out of the legs. Hey, yo, okay, thanks for letting us know. So interlace the hands behind you. Feet are still wide. Make sure your pinky edge is aligned with the short edge of your mat, right? So neutral, feet and legs. Reach the knuckles down, shoulders slide back lightly, and you might have a bend in your elbows for this. Now when I start to fold forward, I can bend the knees if necessary, but I'm using all the muscles of the core, my front belly, my side belly, all the muscles that run from my upper back down to my low back, and I'm going to come about halfway in. I'm going to bend my knees a little bit because I can feel myself hyperextending and locking them out, and that's not good for my knee joints, right? So from there, I'm going to maybe start to reach those knuckles up to the sky. You'll notice I'm not in a rounded position. I have a long spine. My knuckles reach up or back, whatever's better for your shoulder girdle. Shoulders away from ears, long neck. Now I'm going to keep my shoulders lifting. I'm going to keep my upper back moving in to the body, and I'm going to soften my neck if it's available. Take one more breath, inhale, and exhale. This is part two. Bring the hands down to the hips. Bring them underneath the shoulders, and this is one of the spots where those blocks might come in handy for you. We're going to inhale and reach the chest forward. Pause. So try to find a long spine, yeah? Move the shoulder blades towards the buttocks, chest forward, and then get the neck in line with the rest of the spine, right? If it helps you to imagine there's something, a wall, to push your crown of your head into, do that. I teach that often, actually. And then from there, you're going to start to fold down in. If the flexibility is there for you,
The hands might move back between the feet. You might even grab your outer ankles today, right? Shoulders just lightly up away from ears. Soften the neck. And again, notice if that's hard for you, and then that's telling us a lot about your neck situation, right? Take another breath, inhale. And exhale. Put your hands on the blocks or under the shoulders on the ground, and inhale the chest forward one more time. And again, I'm going to bend my knees a little bit because I'm a hyperextender. Hands on hips, elbows up, shoulders up, chest forward, and come all the way up to standing. Bringing the fingertips together, bend the knees. We're going to step or jump those feet in, standing up nice and tall, noticing the relationship of the shoulders, the upper back, and the neck and the head in our body now compared to the first time we tried to be upright, yeah? Okay, so let's go ahead and we're going to come on down to our backs, and I'm actually going to, my apartment's kind of cold today, so I'm going to put my shirt back on, and you have, I think, an idea of where we're going with the upper back. So we're going to come into bridge, but you're going to leave those blocks if you have them. If you don't, you can do a regular old bridge on the ground. It's not a big deal, right? But otherwise, I'm going to have them hip distance, and my feet are going to go on them for the first bridge that we do, right? So I'll roll down onto my back, and I'll put my feet on those blocks, and I can always move my body a little forward or a little back so that I have my feet fully on the blocks, and I feel very secure there. You're going to move your arms into robot arms. Elbows in, fingertips up, shoulder blades away from the ears. Now push into the heels and start to lift up one vertebrae at a time, just like you would. There's nothing all that different other than the height underneath the feet. But for some of us with tight shoulders, this helps us find the tops of our shoulders a little more. You might stay right here, rock from side to side, tuck your shoulders underneath you. You might now go to that interlace we've been working, right? My one request with the interlace is usually this. If your elbows are really bent and you can't get your hands down to the ground, you're going to be better grabbing the edges of your mat or doing robot arms. If you can interlace and rock and still get your elbows, your forearms, your wrists, and your fingers, the pinky fingers down to the ground, then this is going to be a good place for you, right? So now I'm going to push down into everything that I have on the earth, not aggressively, but I'm going to use it. And as I push down, I'm going to try to open my chest towards my chin. My armpits lift up, my chest lifts up, my upper back lifts up, right? But I also soften the neck here. I'm not working my neck or my tongue or my jaw. Take an inhale. And with an exhale, you're going to release the interlace if you're interlacing. You can release those shoulders out a little bit and roll down one vertebrae at a time and pause. Don't hug the knees in. We will go into forward folds, but first let's go all one direction with this upper back business, and then we'll move the opposite direction. So now if you're liking the blocks, you can keep doing it on the blocks. You can also move to the side and just do a regular. I'm going to stay on the blocks today because I'm really enjoying the extra lift in my chest, right? Welcome, Hunter. So from there, robot arms. You're going to go ahead and you're going to push into those feet and lift the hips. Slide from side to side here, or grab the outer edges of your mat, or interlace other index finger on top. But definitely try to get onto the tops of your shoulders themselves here. Soften that neck right off the bat. Push down into your shoulders, your forearms, your elbows, your everything that's on the earth, your feet, right? And then I'm going to add one more piece for the low back, and that is this. Pull your heels really gently back. They don't move, right? It's a traction action. But if you really gently traction your heels towards your head, your hamstrings turn on, your glutes turn on, which starts to support the extension on the front side of the body and the low back. Take one more breath, inhale. And then with an exhale, release the arms and roll down one vertebrae at a time. Pause. If you're on blocks, if you can do it with your feet, just move those blocks forward and out of the way and put the feet back down. Everybody, walk your feet as wide as your mat. Tee your arms out. Take an inhale. And with an exhale, let the knees move over to the right. So let's do a twist before we go to forward fold. And up, and knees to the left. And up, and knees to the right. Head might turn to the left. And up, and knees to the left. Head might turn to the right.
And come back to your center, walk your feet into hip distance. And I don't want to get up off the ground, so we're just going to simply bring our knees in and let our forward fold be from here. So if I put my hands more towards my knees or higher up on my legs, right, then I'm going to actually start to round my spine real good. My hips lift up, it's allowed, right? My low back rolls down, it's allowed. Keep the shoulders pretty soft if you can. And it might feel nice to rock a little bit from right to left. Now, for some of my friends, you might go to thread the needle, which is feet on the ground with the right ankle over the left knee, right? And if you know you have pretty tight hips, let's all start here actually. I'm going to change it. From there, go ahead and bring the legs in and interlace behind the left thigh. Right, the right foot is flexed, the right thigh moves away, and I just gently hug those legs towards the body. And I don't say this often, but since we're trying to get a little rounding in the spine, you can let the low back move down, you can let the shoulders lift up lightly. Don't go crazy with that. Take one more breath. Now, some of my friends, you might stay here. Some of my friends release the leg and then cross the right leg all the way over the left. I think the further my legs are away from my body, the more room I have to do that personally. Bring the legs back in. And then the shins split, and you might grab onto each of the shins. And as you let those legs come down towards the body, again, for today, I would say let the low back come down to the ground. Go into the rounding, right? I usually don't coach that. Usually I say don't do that. But today we want a little forward fold. We did a whole bunch of upper back bends. One more breath wherever you are. Bring the feet back down, left ankle, right knee, flex the foot, bring it in and interlace. And again, if your shoulders lift up a little bit, as long as they're not working, right? Don't let it be that they're clenched while they're here. And that low back can move down to the ground today. Maybe hugging the knee a little closer, the right leg, the right thigh a little closer. And some of my friends, you're going to stick with thread the needle. Some of my friends, let that right foot down, cross deeply, left leg over right, and then bringing the legs in, the shins split, and grab onto each of the shins. And again, you can let the spine round today. Let the low back go down to the ground. And as long as the shoulders aren't working, if they end up lifting a little bit off the ground, that's okay today too, yeah? I mean, it's okay any day. I'm not telling you that your practice isn't perfect if you don't, but we usually try to find a longer spine, right? Inhale. And go ahead and bring that right foot down, bring that left foot down. And we're going to go right into Shavasana. So shoulders away from ears. Let the palms, arms come out a little bit with the palms up. And maybe those legs can extend. If those blocks are there, just kick them a little further. Make any little minor adjustments that you need to so that you can let go of the physical body. Right? You don't want to be uncomfortable and thinking about that the whole time you're in Shavasana. And then scan through the body from the crown of the head to the tips of the toes. And once you've gathered any information the body is giving you or softened any muscles that are not needed to be tense, etc., then just let go. And if the mind gets busy, remember, you can always bring it back and anchor it to the breath. So I am going to keep filming. I am going to still be with you. You don't have to stop and look at your camera, right? But I'm going to take my voice out for about probably 1.5 to 2 minutes. And then I'll come back in and I'll talk us out of Shavasana. It's tempting when you're at home not to do the Shavasana because you got things to do. But this is the most important pose of yoga. So please stay with me. Let your next inhale deepen. And maybe wiggle fingers and toes. Maybe stretch the arms overhead. Bend the knees, roll over to your right. Let the face turn down, right? Just the neck is soft is what I'm getting at. Push the floor with the left hand and then use the right elbow, whatever you need to, right? But keep the neck soft, 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 soft until you come on up and find yourself in a seated or a kneeling position. Feel free to take a moment and give yourself a little bit of height if that feels like that's better for your pelvis, aka your spine, because they're all attached, right? Buttocks, bones rooting down, crown of the head reaching up. Check into that upper back briefly. Let the shoulders soften away from the ears. The shoulder blades really gently, right, moving down towards the buttocks. And then if you can pinpoint where the bottom tips of the shoulder blades are, let them really gently lift the chest up and forward. Bring your palms together at your chest. Inhale into all that space in the lungs. Exhale, bow your head in towards your heart. A moment of gratitude here for at least one thing, whatever you want it to be. Namaste, friends. Check me out on patreon.com/CJoy Yoga. And I've got I've got almost 50 videos at this point in time up online these days. So become a subscriber if you find yourself doing these and you're really enjoying them. Thank you.